Whenever we hear about AI transforming the way we work, it's almost always the exact same mental image, isn't it?
It's very digital.
Right. You picture someone sitting at a laptop, maybe, sipping a cold brew,
Hmm.
and they're generating lines of Python code, or they're having an AI draft like a dozen marketing emails in 5 seconds flat.
Yeah, the classic tech bro aesthetic.
Exactly. It's all very clean. It's all very digital.
Hmm.
But I want you to hold on to that image for a second, and then I want you to just completely shatter it.
Because the reality is moving way beyond the screen now.
It really is. Because today, for this deep dive, we're asking a very different and honestly a much more intimidating question. What happens when artificial intelligence has to, put on a hard hat, lease up a pair of steel-toed boots, and actually step out onto a deep-sea oil rig
Hmm.
or a defense manufacturing floor?
It's a massive paradigm shift. I mean, you are moving from a world where mistakes are just a backspace away to a physical reality where a mistake can cause a factory to shut down, cause environmental ruin, or, much, much worse.
Right. The stakes are literally life and death. And that is exactly what we are digging into today. We have a stack of incredibly timely source material in front of us.
Hot off the presses, really.
Literally. We're looking at a brand new press release, dated today, June 2, 2026, along with the highly detailed white paper that accompanied it. Both are from EON AI Ventures, Inc., and they are announcing the launch of something called EON Human 2.0 OS.
Or, as they cleverly refer to it in the literature, H2O.
H2O, which is a very deliberate naming convention, right?
Oh, totally. Considering they're framing this operating system as the absolute lifeblood of this new industrial era, it's essential.
It really is. So the mission for our deep dive today is to decode this shift. We're going to figure out exactly how what they call agentic AI is finally migrating out of the cozy, purely software realm and into the gritty, highly regulated physical economy.
And it is heavily regulated for a reason.
Exactly. And more importantly, we're going to look at why the creators of this system believe this shift is going to completely dismantle the 20th century company as we know it. Okay, let's unpack this. Can you lay out the fundamental problem that H2O is actually trying to solve here?
Yeah, for sure.
Because, why is a new operating system even necessary when we already have all these incredibly smart AI models?
Well, to really understand the problem, you have to look at the massive blind spot and how we've been talking about and building artificial intelligence up until this very moment.
The blind spot being the physical world.
Exactly. The founder and chairman of EON AI Ventures, Inc., Dan Lajerskar, points this out perfectly in the release. He notes that the conversation, the literature, all those multi-billion-dollar development cycles, it has almost entirely focused on white-collar work.
Right, software-centric organizations, writing code, analyzing spreadsheets.
Yeah, exactly. But that leaves out an enormous foundational chunk of human enterprise.
The actual physical stuff that makes the world run.
Right. The regulated half of the global economy. I mean, we are talking about energy, mining, oil and gas extraction, aerospace, automotive, pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Defense, utilities.
All of it. This massive critical half of the economy has essentially been treated as a footnote in the broader AI conversation. And as Lajerskar says in the material, atoms are different from bits.
Atoms are different from bits. That is a really great way to put it.
It really is.
Because a standard AI model, like, a large language model that writes a beautifully formatted text essay, you can't just unplug that from a server farm, plug it into an aerospace factory, and say, hey, go ahead and build a jet engine.
Precisely. You can't just plug it in because the industrial sector doesn't run on text prompts.
No, definitely not.
It runs on two highly complex things. First, strict adherence to massive regulatory frameworks. And second, what the white paper specifically refers to as tacit operational knowledge.
Okay, tacit operational knowledge. Define that for me.
So this is the knowledge that doesn't live in a company handbook or a PDF. It lives in the hands, the muscle memory, and the finely tuned instincts of senior operators who have been doing the exact same dangerous job for 30 years.
Okay, I want to push back on that a little bit, or at least play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Because this is really the crux of the whole transition.
Go for it.
If an AI makes a typo in a marketing email or hallucinates some weird historical fact in a newsletter, it's embarrassing, right?
Yeah,
Maybe you lose a subscriber, but a typo on a deep-sea oil rig Or an AI hallucination in a pharmaceutical batch where you're, I don't know, manufacturing life-saving cardiac drugs.
It's an absolute catastrophe.
An unmitigated catastrophe.
Yeah.
So how does a piece of software actually capture that tacit knowledge you just mentioned?
Wow.
You say it's muscle memory. How does software absorb the expertise of a 30-year veteran mechanic so that it doesn't make that catastrophic mistake?
Well, what's fascinating here is that H2O isn't just a piece of software sitting on a remote server somewhere. EON didn't just wake up yesterday and decide to blindly tackle the physical economy.
Right, they have a history here.
A long history. The source point out that EON has a 25-year history of building the exact physical and digital substrate required to make this work.
Wait, 25 years?
Yeah. We are talking about a massive pre-existing footprint. Over 4,400 institutional customers across more than 80 countries, and over 136 million platform downloads to date.
But hold on, 136 million downloads is great, but software crashing on a consumer's iPad is completely different than a robotic welding arm malfunctioning on an assembly line.
Oh, absolutely.
So how exactly do we trust that transition from a screen to the physical world?
That is exactly why they rely on specialized hardware and simulations, not just, text-based data scraping. To capture that 30-year veteran's knowledge, H2O reaches into the physical world using tools they've refined over decades, like Genesis 3.
Genesis 3, what's that?
So this isn't about having a mechanic type out what they do. Think about how a veteran mechanic tightens a specific, highly pressurized valve on an oil rig. It's not just about turning a wrench.
Right, it's a feeling.
Exactly. It's the exact amount of torque applied, the specific angle of the wrist, the physical resistance they feel right before it seals perfectly.
Right, the stuff you literally can't write down. The intuition.
Exactly. Genesis 3 uses spatial computing, smart glasses, and haptic feedback to digitally map that exact physical movement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it translates that human intuition and physical interaction into a highly accurate 3D digital model. It measures the torque, the angle, the speed.
That's wild.
And then the system uses another tool called Field IQ, which takes that captured, digitized knowledge and uses it for augmented field execution. It literally overlays that 30-year veteran's expertise back onto the real world for the next worker to follow, step by step, with millimeter precision.
Okay, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
They're physically mapping the actions, the environment, and the physics of the job.
Exactly.
That is a massive mechanism for bridging the gap between a digital brain and a physical factory floor.
Yeah.
But that brings us directly to the danger aspect.
The regulations.
Yeah. If we are translating human muscle memory into code to swing a crane or mix a volatile pharmaceutical batch, how do we make sure it doesn't just wildly miscalculate and blow the facility up?
Right, because the AI doesn't inherently understand fear.
Exactly. Because I imagine a government regulator looking at an AI-run factory and just having a total panic attack.
And they absolutely would if there weren't incredibly robust, non-negotiable safety rails built into the core of the system. This is where the white paper details the actual structure of H2O.
Okay, let's hear it.
It is meticulously designed as a 7-layer architecture. It doesn't just think and do. It has to pass through massive filters.
Let's break those layers down. I want to spend some real time on this because this is the blueprint for how AI actually survives in the physical world.
Okay, so the very foundation, component 1, is what they call the purpose protocol.
Purpose protocol.
This is vital. The purpose protocol takes a company's mission, its internal safety culture, and all of its external regulatory commitments, and it codifies them into machine enforceable rules. It is the absolute bedrock that the AI cannot, under any circumstances, bypass.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because when you say machine enforceable rules regarding safety and purpose, my mind immediately jumps to Isaac Asimov.
Oh, right. The laws of robotics.
Yeah, the classic sci-fi laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm.
Which sounds great in theory.
Exactly. But in a real-world, hyper-regulated environment, does this purpose protocol framework actually replace the human worker? Or does it just wrap the human worker in a suffocating, inescapable layer of automated red tape?
It's a highly relevant question, and the white paper explicitly addresses this dynamic. H2O is not designed to replace the human or bypass their judgment.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah, it is fundamentally a unified system. The goal is to integrate human expertise with AI agents and operational workflows. Let me put it this way. The system doesn't run the human. The system and the human run the facility together.
Okay, so the human is still actively in the loop. I think we need to see how that actually plays out in real time. You mentioned this is a seven-layer architecture. What happens after the purpose protocol?
So after the purpose protocol establishes the ground rules, you move into components 2 through 6. These are the 5 intelligence layers that actually handle the day-to-day operational cycle.
Which are?
You have sensing, interpretation, decision, orchestration, and finally, a learning loop.
Wait, so sensing isn't just an AI reading a spreadsheet of daily outputs.
Not at all. Sensing in the physical economy means real-world data ingestion. We are talking about computer vision cameras analyzing a pipeline for microfractures in real time.
Wow.
Or it's acoustic sensors listening to the pitch of a massive industrial turbine to detect a faint rattle that a human ear might completely miss.
Got it. So the AI hears the rattle. That's layer 2, sensing. Then what?
Then it feeds into layer 3, which is interpretation. The AI cross-references that specific acoustic pitch against 30 years of maintenance logs, digital twins, and thermal imaging.
To see what it actually means.
Right. To determine that the rattle isn't just noise, it's a specific bearing about to fail due to overheating.
And layer 4 is decision.
Exactly. The system has to decide, do we initiate an emergency shutdown of the entire assembly line? Or do we just lower the RPMs by 15% to cool the bearing until the next shift change?
I see.
It makes a recommendation based on the safest, most efficient path dictated by that base layer, the purpose protocol.
Okay, and then orchestration, layer 5, would be actually sending the signal to the physical machines to lower the RPMs, while maybe simultaneously pinging the procurement software to order a replacement bearing.
Spot on. It handles the entire workflow. And finally, layer 6 is the learning loop.
So it remembers what it did.
Right. The system takes everything that just happened, the acoustic data, the decision, the outcome, and updates the model globally. So now every single factory running H2O across the world immediately knows that exact acoustic signature and how to handle it.
That is, I mean, it sounds exactly like the cognitive process of a human worker, just broken down into software, but operating at a massive scale.
Exactly.
You see a problem, figure out what it means, decide what to do, execute the fix, and learn from it. But that still leaves the final layer. Component 7. How does that address my concern about automated red tape and the human backstop?
Component 7 is arguably the most critical piece for industrial adoption. It is the govern and assure shell.
Govern and assure.
Yeah. Think of it as a protective barrier that wraps around the entire intelligence stack we just discussed. This shell contains agent passports, immutable audit logs, and granular rollbacks.
Meaning, if an AI agent makes a decision to lower those RPMs, it leaves a permanent, unchangeable cryptographic record of exactly why it made that decision and based on what data.
Exactly. But the most crucial part of this govern and assure shell is the inclusion of what they call human review queues.
Okay, here we go. Humans in the loop.
Exactly. These queues are explicitly mapped to massive, high-stakes regulatory frames. The text actually lists this alphabet soup of agencies and standards: OSHA, ISO, GMP, ATEX, ISEX, API, and IADC.
Okay, wait, let's translate some of those because that is a dense list of acronyms.
Fair enough.
I know OSHA is occupational safety, and ISO is international standardization.
Right.
And GMP is good manufacturing practice, which is, huge in pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
But you mentioned ATEX and ITVEX, just so we're all on the same page. Those are the strict global directives for operating equipment in explosive atmospheres, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if there's a highly combustible gas leak on a rig or explosive dust in a grain silo, you definitely do not want an AI hallucinating a spark in that environment.
Precisely. And that is where the human review queue comes in. If a decision touches on the parameters of an ATEX directive or a GMP pharmaceutical standard, the system doesn't just blindly execute.
It pauses.
It halts and flags it into a human review queue.
Ah, okay. I love a good metaphor, so let me try this out.
Let's hear it.
Think of the purpose protocol as the constitution of the factory. It's the supreme law of the land, right?
I follow you.
The middle layers, sensing, interpreting, deciding, those are the citizens going about their day making decisions, solving problems. But that govern and assure shell, component 7, is the Supreme Court.
Oh, that's good.
Right. Before a citizen can do anything that even skirts the edge of a major safety law, it gets kicked up to the Supreme Court, the human expert, for a final binding ruling.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. The system does all the cognitive heavy lifting. It pre-processes the complex sensor data, evaluates it against the Constitution, and drafts a highly informed recommendation.
But the judge has to sign the warrant.
Exactly. But the human expert at the Supreme Court reviews the immutable log and provides the final physical sign-off. It empowers the human with godlike operational visibility rather than just replacing them.
Okay, I'm fully tracking with this now. So if this seven-layer system actually works, and AI can safely govern these explosive high-stakes environments without replacing the human judgment, what does that do to the businesses themselves?
It changes everything.
Because if you no longer need armies of people just to gather data and draft reports before a decision is made, the basic economics of running a factory must completely change.
Oh, they do.
Because reading through these materials, there's a massive sense of urgency. They aren't just saying, hey, we built a cool tool, buy it whenever. They're saying companies need to adopt this right now.
Yes, the intellectual current backing this launch is formidable, and the economic implications are staggering. The release cites several major thinkers and institutions to frame what is at stake.
Like who?
Well, they reference Salim Ismail's concept of the organizational singularity. They bring in Mark Andreessen and Eric Schmidt talking about the strategic implications of AI.
Wow.
They point to McKinsey and Company's data on agentic productivity and Anthropic's deep research on economic impact.
That is a very heavy-hitting reading list. What is the shared conclusion all these thinkers are pointing toward? What does organizational singularity even mean in this context?
So, the organizational singularity is a concept describing the point where a company's ability to scale and grow is no longer constrained by human headcount limits.
Because the AI is doing the scaling.
Exactly. The short conclusion of all these thinkers is that the 20th century company structure, as we have known it for 100 years, is actively being dismantled.
Dismantled?
Yes, and it's happening because AI agents are collapsing the cost of coordination and execution towards zero.
Let's pause on that because that is a profound statement that I think people might gloss over. Collapsing the cost of coordination and execution towards zero.
It's massive.
Think about a massive aerospace prime building rockets or a global mining major. A huge percentage of their budget, and frankly, half of their headcount is just coordination.
Oh yeah, pure logistics.
It's middle management. It's project schedulers. It's compliance officers running around with clipboards, making sure Team A is talking to Team B and following Rule C before Team D can turn on a machine. If AI agents can do that coordination instantly, for pennies, the traditional company structure literally cannot compete.
And that is exactly the thesis EON is bringing to the physical economy with H2O. No software-only architecture can address the physical coordination of a mining operation.
Because it doesn't understand atoms.
Right. But a 7-layer architecture built on 25 years of physical substrate can. Which brings us to their rollout strategy, which is highly restrictive and, frankly, quite aggressive.
Right. They're not just putting this on an enterprise app store and waiting for downloads.
No, definitely not. They are only accepting 10 anchor companies into what they're calling Cohort 1. And they expect this cohort to be fully subscribed very soon, by the end of the third quarter of 2026.
Just 10 companies globally. That is incredibly exclusive. What do these 10 companies actually get out of it, aside from the tech itself?
Well, they get a 90-day transformation engagement followed by a multi-year platform license. But more importantly, they get direct executive sponsorship from EON's leadership. They get co-authorship rights on the final case studies that will be published.
Nice bragging rights.
Sure. And they get early access to upcoming, highly advanced features that will ship later in 2026, specifically components they call the EON N Compound IQ and the EON N Integrity Suite.
So what does this all mean? Why the manufactured scarcity?
Bro.
I mean, Dan Legerskar states in the press release that the window is open, but he expects it to remain open for only 18 to 36 months. He says after that, the category will be claimed.
Yeah.
Why is that timeline so incredibly rigid? I mean, if I'm an automotive manufacturer, why can't I just wait 4 years, let these first 10 companies work out all the bugs, let the technology get cheaper, and then I'll buy it when it's perfectly polished?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, waiting is the most dangerous thing a physical enterprise could do right now. The 18 to 36-month window isn't about the technology maturing. It's about the ruthless advantage of being a first mover in a standard-setting environment.
Standard setting. Explain that.
Think about the Cohort 1 participants. These 10 companies are going to spend the next 90 days and the subsequent months integrating their specific safety cultures, their proprietary workflows, their unique ways of doing business into the purpose protocol.
Right, their DNA.
Exactly. They are part of a cross-firm agent coordination working group. They aren't just improving their own internal efficiency. As Loja points out, the industrial enterprises that move first will literally define the operating standards that their peers and competitors are then forced to adopt.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
If you are one of the first 10, you are literally teaching the foundational AI how an automotive plant or an oil rig should be run based on your company's playbook. Your
Exactly.
company's specific way of doing things becomes the default setting for the entire industry's artificial intelligence.
You've got it. You are hardwiring your specific competitive advantage into the architecture of the future. You are building the house that everyone else is going to have to live in.
Wow. So, to synthesize this entire journey we've been on today, AI has officially graduated.
Mm.
It's no longer just writing our text messages or summarizing our meeting notes.
Far from it.
With EON's H2O architecture, AI is stepping out of the laptop and onto the factory floor. It is orchestrating complex, dangerous, highly regulated physical industries.
It really is.
The massive divide between bits and atoms is actively closing, driven by 25 years of substrate development, precise digital mapping of human intuition, and a 7-layer safety framework that finally allows machines to enforce regulatory compliance while keeping humans firmly seated as the ultimate backstop.
It is nothing short of a fundamental rewiring of how the physical world operates.
It really is.
Yeah.
And for you listening, I really want to drive this point home. Even if you don't work on a deep-sea oil rig, even if you have absolutely nothing to do with aerospace manufacturing or pharmaceutical compliance,
Yeah.
you need to care about this. Because if the cost of coordination and execution in the physical economy truly collapses towards zero, as these thinkers predict, it is going to radically alter the price, the production speed, and the safety of nearly every single physical good you interact with.
Everything you buy.
Exactly. Think about the last time you bought a car or a major appliance. A huge percentage of that price tag isn't just the steel or the electronics. It's the cost of thousands of humans coordinating the logistics to build it safely.
Yep.
If EON's H2O handles that coordination for pennies, the price of physical goods could completely transform. That's not just a software upgrade. That is an industrial revolution happening right now, today, June 2, 2026.
And this raises an important question, and it's the one we should really leave everyone to ponder.
What's that?
Well, we talked about that hard hat and those steel-toed boots at the very beginning. The first 10 companies in Cohort 1 are lacing up those boots right now.
Setting the standard.
Over the next 36 months, they are going to successfully turn their complex safety cultures and operational secrets into machine-enforceable rules. They are becoming the architects of physical reality for the next century.
Wow.
So, what happens to the companies that wait until month 37? Will they wake up to find they're competing in a market where they don't even understand the new rules of physics? Or worse, will they be forced to operate their entire business as mere tenants, governed under an AI standard that was secretly designed by their biggest rival?